Hey, what's up, and welcome to this new musical coding quest. In the last video, we defined the concept of an interactive playlist application called Playlist Hit, a party playlist connected to the party speaker that every guest could join, then add tracks to that playlist. Playlist Hit would require no account at all, and there would be a limited number of tracks each user could submit. That way, we would avoid situations where a user overloads the playlist and also encourage guests to choose with more taste. But the main experimental feature is this one though. Playlist Hit will let users the possibility to upvote or downvote tracks in that playlist, so the next played track will then be the most voted one. That feature aims to bring more musical harmony and unity in a party, and I think it has also the potential to bring more fun and less frustration in party. This is completely experimental, and I have no clue whether people would use Playlist It or not. But at least I would, and the only way to know is to code it anyway, so let's code. Maybe it's still a little bit too soon to code. We might want to schematize a little bit how we are going to handle everything first. Nothing beats a good old schema. As there will be probably a lot of drunk people using this app, it's mandatory to have a super simple UI and UX. So we'll have only two main processes for users: create a playlist and join a playlist. So this should be the story of every playlist in Playlist Hit. Once upon a time, a phone connected to a party speaker created a playlist and gave that playlist a name. The playlist name was so cool that every guest phones in the party joined the playlist. It was simple as they only needed to know the playlist name. The end. The end at least for the connection part. Once guests join the playlist, they have basically three possibilities. They can search for a track, they can add a track, and finally they can vote for a track. There'll be in reality a little more than that, but it's secondary. And that's it. With those main points in mind, I designed this incredibly beautiful first version of the interface. So this is the first page users will see when accessing the app. For the colors, I chose orange tones, as it is often associated with human contact and communication. The orange color also recalls a warm and living emotion, like a campfire, I guess. And I think that's what Playlist Hit is about, get people together and dance around the campfire. But enough talk about colors. Here we have the create button that requires the name of the playlist, as well as the join button. To make people join the playlist only by knowing its names, it means that there cannot be two playlists of the same name, and also that anyone outside the party could brute force the join button by trying lots of different playlist names until it works for one. So I guess we could add password as well to the playlist properties to improve security, but that's fine for now, as there are no sensitive information here and security will come later. Plus, I think it's fun to be able to check playlist party of random people. So there are two more options when creating a playlist. Votes number means the number of votes users can apply simultaneously on playlist tracks, and tracks number means the number of tracks users can add simultaneously in the playlist. But let me show you with my beautiful second design, which presents the basics of a Playlist Hit interface. In this example, a user will be able to submit two tracks simultaneously in the playlist, and only when one of the tracks he submitted is played, he can add a new one. And same goes for votes. When a new track is played, every user that applied a vote on that track gets to vote again. That research bar down the screen will allow users to search and add track. We'll also have a player up there to display the current track being played, as well as the votes the user have left. And this play button is a little idea I got while making the design. This would allow the playlist host to play or resume the music and nothing else. He will have no way of skipping or playing a specific track. He will only be able to play or pause the music. And of course, we have the main part of the playlist where all suggested tracks are displayed. We'll have the basic tracks info, but also the submitter's name to add more connection between people, which explained by the way this field here and here. Who knows, maybe you will meet people you share same tastes with more easily. Anyway, at the right side we have the upvote and downvote buttons, and in the middle, the current track's score. Rule number 1. The highest track score defines the next played track. You will see this remove button on every track you submitted. So if you changed your mind and want to submit something else, you can click here. This will also give their votes back to other users. Okay, now we can actually code the user interface of playlist hit. Using some useful plugins, I try to also improve the design a bit. Et voila! The first interface version is here. We have the lobby, and then the playlist. Now I really feel like the project is launched and will be going till the end of it. However, our app now is like an empty shell. We need to create the playlist hit server that will manage the users and playlist database. You can see the whole thing at the restaurant. The playlist hit app is like a waiter, making your experience enjoyable and easy, and when you order something, the waiter kindly goes tell the chefs in the kitchen where all the food is prepared and cooked for you. Well, you can see the chefs in the kitchen as the playlist hit server, and the food like the users and playlist data. In here, we order a playlist named Meow. The app tells the server to create a new playlist with that name. Playlist is successfully created, so we get this message. And now, the waiter or the app can take us to the playlist we ordered. Like in festivals, I also programmed the server to mark users entering a playlist with a stamp on their wrist. Well, of course it's not a physical stamp, but it works exactly the same. It's called the JSON Web Token. Like stamps in festivals, it tells in which party you are, grants you access to it, and disappears with time. But it's even more than that, as it can also tell what you are allowed to do or not, like the party host or one of its guests. And instead of going on your wrist, it goes right in your local storage browser. Thanks to that info, we can already program the app to display the play resume button whether a user is host or not. Okay. Now we might have big issues there. Playlist and creation part is successful, but we need the most important thing, which is music. If we don't have any music to suggest or even play, it doesn't make sense to continue this project. So here are the few options we have. Either we create our own music database, meaning downloading a lot of tracks including cover images and metadatas, or we choose to connect playlist hit to an already existing music database. First option gives us freedom on the technical side, but it will cost lots of time, energy and terabytes of space if we want to have enough tracks to propose. Also, I think it will cause some troubles on the legal side. This will be a whole project by its own. And right now, we want to focus on playlist hit. That leads to the second option, connect our app to an already existing music database. But does that database even exist? If it does, is it free to use? Oh, you again? What do we have to offer this time? Spotify has indeed a huge music database, and it also set up tools for developers to enable creation of applications that can interact with the Spotify streaming service. That sounds really promising. Spotify actually allows third-party apps to run commands like play resume, skip to next, or add track to playlist on your account, as long as you agree with it. We could literally recreate another Spotify with all your data in it. And look at this command. This could be our golden ticket for the first playlist hit version. Imagine that simple structure. The host party streams music through Spotify in the speaker. Then he lets playlist hit tells his Spotify what will be the next track. And when guests will be looking for new tracks to add, their playlist hit app will transmit their request to the playlist host, which will automatically get the response from Spotify and bring it back to the guest who made the request. Well, I said simple, and I hope it is for you. There are some downsides at using Spotify as music database though. That means that the playlist hit host will need one Spotify premium account. In addition to that, we'll have quota. Meaning if we ask too much too quickly to Spotify, it will not work anymore. But that's still fine, we just need to be careful. And indeed, playlist hit will not work if not at least one person has a premium Spotify account in the party. I think that's still okay as it's the first version and we just want to test the concept. So I guess I have 3 months now to finish that app, so let's proceed. Now when creating a playlist, you are asked to connect that playlist with your Spotify account. And with a music database like Spotify, magic can finally happen. I implemented the search and add features that work as expected, even if you have to be really precise sometimes. So as I was working on the project and everything looked fine, I came to realize something. When users add tracks to the playlist, well, Playlist must remove them once they are finished. But the thing is, Spotify has nothing to tell us when a track just finished. I can ask punctually what track is playing, but it cannot send events when a track started or is done. And without that info, Playlist has really no way to work. So after long and stressful research, I finally found something. It had some complexity to the code, but at least the project is safe now. We need to actually use the Spotify Web Playback SDK. Unlike the tools we used earlier, the Web Playback SDK emulates a local Spotify Connect in the browser. Now when you'll go see which devices are connected to your Spotify account, you'll see a playlist hit device connected. And that way we can get events every time the player status has changed. We can get the new track being played, how long it lasts, what was the previous track, and what will be the next one. This is exactly what we needed. Now I know when to remove a track that has been played. I can also display infos about the current track on the header and make the play resume button to work. Nice. We're almost done. We just need to implement the vote feature, which will give the identity of playlist hit. So here is how it's supposed to work. Basically, when a user votes for a track, Playlist Hit will modify the track score and apply a sorting algorithm to the whole track list to update the ranking. If the highest track is different than before the vote, then I want to tell Spotify that the next track should be the new highest one in the playlist. And guess what? I faced an issue here that I think this time will have really closed the project or makes us a huge step backward. I know I was too excited to start and I read the documentation way too fast. This was the issue. Here I vote for a track, making it the highest one. If I check Spotify, I can see that the right track have been added as next. So now, just for fun, I keep voting for tracks, but this is what happens. I am adding track to the queue. I totally misunderstood that command, thinking that it was setting the next track only. I know this is dumb, but I desperately wanted Playlist Hit to work and my mind made me believe that. And the thing is, there are no ways to say straight to Spotify that track will be next. So I had to do stressful research again, and at this moment I really believe that this was the end of the project. There was one option that would save the day, but could cause bugs and felt rather unstable. When a new track starts, I could tell Spotify to pause it right away and instead play the highest track in the playlist. But doing that way required the playlist hit server to have a good, fast and constant internet connection. Otherwise there was a possibility to hear the beginning of the wrong track and also see the wrong infos temporarily. Another option was to calculate at what time the current song would end by knowing the track duration and current time, then just before the song ends, play the highest track in the playlist. But again, doing that way is not totally accurate. By cutting the end of a song to play our next track, we could miss important part of the music. Even if it's 5 seconds before, this could be heard. And if we programmed the next track to be played just 1 second before the current one ends, the playlist hit server has a possibility to not being 1 second accurate. It could then miss the right moment and Spotify would skip to the wrong track. None of those solutions were satisfactory, so I kept searching and searching until I found something else. And indeed there was a rather simple solution. Adding an item to queue is not forbidden as long as we add only once, then wait for the new track to be played. So if we keep that rule in mind, we could maybe save the project. If I add one track to queue and wait for that track to be played, then the queue will be empty and I will be able to add another track to queue, right? So actually that can work in an accurate and proper way. However, the only trouble with that way is that Playlist Hit adds the highest track to the queue every time a new song starts. But the highest track can change by the time the current song ends, by downvote or upvote. So what I did was that I decided to log that track so it can never change its score. At the end, it just means that now user will know the next track one song in advance. This is also the reason why the very first track is instantly locked as next in the beginning. And the magic can happen. It finally works, guys. After long days of work, it finally works. Yeah, yo. Everything is fine in Spotify side, so congrats, guys. There's still a lot to do to finish the app, but we are sure that the core concept is working now. I hope you enjoyed that musical coding quest with me. If you have any ideas to improve or would like to try playlist it when it will be released, feel free to tell me in comments. If you like my content, you can like this video or subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll see you for the next musical coding quest. See you soon, guys!